Hello, everyone. Welcome to Paranormal Round Table, PRT for short. My name is Josh Turner, also known as Wolf, and I'm joined today with my co-hosts, Michael Moran and Tony Mushu Long.
Tony Long Mushu.
Michael Moran.
Okay, so Long is now your middle name? I thought I said it right that time.
Mushu is not my middle name.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, all right. So are you not Mushu anymore? You're not.
I am Mushu, but I would appreciate it if you would get my title correct, sir. All right.
Your title?
My title as the face of this group.
Oh, my gosh.
In this podcast. I would like you to respect me, sir.
Prima donnas. All right. So anyways, Tony Long, also known as Mushu, and Michael Moran is with us today. Mike, today we're going to talk. You're gonna give us a story, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes, folks. Let me get the prelims or whatever you want to call them out of the way. The pleasantries. Everybody, we're glad that you're here joining us with the Paranormal Roundtable. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Even if you listen to us on other platforms, it helps us out if you can. We're trying to build up our viewership on YouTube. We are getting quite a few views, but. Anyways, we're also involved in many groups. Mike, you want to tell them about your group?
Yeah, we're the Cryptid Squad. Pretty much we cover almost every basis of cryptids. We try and get a lot of great eyewitness accounts out there and stories, and we just do our thing.
Mike, you've been very helpful too in hooking me up with different people for different stuff. I mean, you've been good, and I appreciate that. And I've tried to reciprocate by helping you get members and grow your group, and now your group is pretty much one of the most popular. It's very fast growing, over 1,200 members and counting. Cryptid Squad, guys, and not to be confused with Cryptid Squad. It is now Cryptid Squad. We're not going to even get into that, but anyways, there's that, and then there's Cryptids and Paranormal Reality with Lori Shivers. I'm so sorry, Lori. Okay, Lori Shivers, Cryptids and Paranormal Reality, and then we have Paranormal Roundtable, which is my main group, and then my wife Nellie has Paranormal Lounge, and Tony has Paranormal.
The much more superior Paranormal Encounters.
Okay, so yeah, so he's got that one, Paranormal Encounters. So if you guys would like to have some interesting discussions and talk cryptids, paranormal, UFOs, whatever you want to talk, those are the groups to do it. Michael Moran, Lori Shivers, myself, Josh Turner, Tony Long, Nellie Turner. So that being said, the email is doswolfman88@gmail.com, doswolfman88@gmail.com. Hit us up on the email, or you can send me a message if you're a friend with me on Messenger. You can send it to Tony Long. You can send it to Nellie Clinton. You can send it to Michael Moran, Anthony Moreno, any one of us. If you aren't getting a response from one, go to the next person. We are literally a group of people, and we are a Paranormal Roundtable. Okay? We are Trapper Keeper. We are one. Just kidding. I don't know if anybody's seen that episode of South Park, but it's pretty funny. Anyways, folks, we're not here to talk about all this other stuff. We're here to tell you some creepy stories and some crazy stories and some weird stories and whatever else, whatever kind of stories that are out of the norm. Okay, that's what paranormal means to me, and that's what we're going to do tonight. And we also have prtpodcast.com. We have all of our episodes on there. That's our website. And we sell merchandise on there. Go out there and get you a coffee mug or a shirt or a hoodie or a phone case and help support the show. We have a PayPal there. You can make a donation if you don't wish to have any of our cool merchandise, which I don't know why you wouldn't. And we have stickers and whatever. So all that out of the way, all that being said, we have Michael Moran here. He's going to talk to us about, I don't know what you would call it. Would you call it alien encounter, Mike? What would you call it?
Yeah, this pretty much was an alien encounter.
Okay, let's get started.
All right, and real quick, I do have a T-shirt, y'all, so make sure you grab one of those. They are awesome, and I was showing that off right and left at the supermarket and everywhere I went where this pandemic began, and it was awesome. Anyways, all right.
So what? So the shirt looks nice on you, Mike. And Mike, make sure you take a picture and put that on there, for we can put it on the show. picture of you
Most
wearing your shirt.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. This took place in 1993. This particular situation. I call it situation because it happened to me. So here it goes. I was coming home. It was around like 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning. I lived in Pembroke at the time. Pembroke is kind of like on the borderline of Fort Worth, Texas. Anyways, so I'm coming in through the door. It's late. I just got back from hanging out with a friend. As I'm walking in my door, I'm coming down this little light. It's like a little section where it's got like the light and everything. Anyways, I take the right going down the hallway. My dad had installed this attic fan, just to give a quick, brief description, and then I'll go back to the story. So the attic fan basically was in the middle of the hallway. And when you turn it on, you have to open up the windows. And what it does is it makes all this air come in. And it's kind of like it cools everything off. Because it gets, pretty hot in Texas and all that. Well, anyways, so as I'm walking down the hallway, I take a left. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm translucid. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Because I'm surrounded by this big, huge purple ray. It's like a circle all around me. And the best way to describe it is if you ever have seen the movie Episode 3, where Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi get trapped, and they're surrounded by this purple ray. At this time, I'm just kind of like rocking back and forth as I'm in here. I'm just kind of like with my feet, just kind of there, and I'm just kind of going back and forth, just trying to like look around, just trying to figure out what's going on. And then all of a sudden, it gets like really bright. I mean, like a big bright light. Okay, now my mom's room and stepdad's room was like a little bit further down the hallway, and that's like to the right. And in between, there's like a door, like a closet, and then across from there is my room. And then where I was standing to me is like a restroom. So I'm just kind of rocking back and forth. When I was told that my mom, when she was laying down in her bed, my stepdad said, "Hey, tell him to turn off that light. I'm trying to sleep." And so she didn't get up. But what she said was when she was looking through the bottom where the little closet door is, it looked like a white sheet, like a bunch of little white sheets coming through. And me, I'm just kind of like, moving around. Okay, now, if you take a clock that's hanging on a wall, the one that's got like the one that I use like in school and work and all that, now you take it and you lay it down flat. Now follow me in my direction because this is how I was moving. So go counterclockwise, but go backwards and go from 12 o'clock to 11. That's how I started turning like left, like 10. And then I'm slowly going a little bit more to the left. And as I'm looking at this wall in my hallway, there's like this little tiny dot, and it starts off, and it starts, for some reason, I can just see it. I don't know how to explain it. It just starts getting like bigger, like a little square, and it gets in the shape of a rectangle. And then I can see like the whole outside, everything. And from where I'm standing, I could just somehow see everything, just like just clear as day. And I could see the light post, because outside we have like this light post in the way our house is. The way the street goes, it kind of starts going from the bottom and slowly like works its way up to the hill and then goes back down. So our house is like right next to another house, which was our neighbors there. Anyways, so I'm seeing this light post on the outside. I'm just kind of looking at it. And out of nowhere, I'm going to make these sound effects because this is how they moved. I saw these like creatures, and they came out fast, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 or 7, something like that. And they just come up really fast, and they're just kind of walking. And for some reason, I can see everything that's going on outside. Like I can see them. And the best way to describe them, okay, they look like Lilo and Stitch, and the eyes were like solid black, and the ears were hanging down on the right side and left side like a puppy dog. their skin color looked kind of like green, like an alligator. Kind of like, they look like basically little gremlins is what they look like. And they were walking on the sidewalk. And as they took a left going into the driveway, because I actually saw one jump over the other one before they got down to the driveway to like right where the mailbox is. But anyways, one just kind of jumps over the other one and they're just walking. And they go down this driveway. And as they get closer, the doorbell just starts ringing. Like, ding dong, ding dong, ding. I was like really, really loud. And my stepdad, he yells at my mom. And he says, tell him to knock it off. I'm trying to sleep. So she gets up. And then she opens the door. I'm in the middle. And I can see her. And she just walks right through me like I don't know how to explain it, like I'm just like a ghost or something. She just goes right through me. And she goes down the hallway. She takes a right, goes down, and then takes a left. And then she's in that little area where the door is. And she, right when she opens it up, okay, when you take like a bathtub and like you have a bunch of water or a sink and you're like doing dishes, but you have some water and you pull that little like plug, that piece, and you start seeing like a funnel.
Like the water's
I saw
draining?
a funnel. Yes, exactly. When she opened that door, it was like a big funnel. Everything was going like that, and then everything just disappeared, and it made a loud pop noise, like. And I jump up off my bed, and I go running down the hallway, and I go to the door, and I yell up, "No! Don't open the door!" And she turns around, and she just starts yelling at me. I mean, you're talking about, like, chewing me out. And as she's doing this, I'm, like, looking around trying to figure out what just happened. Like, seriously, what just happened? And I don't like being yelled at. And, like, by anybody, seriously. And I just how I am, you know. I love my mom and everything, but I don't know, I just don't like being yelled at. Never have. And I'm just trying to figure out what just happened. And the whole time she's yelling at me, it's not even fazing me. So, like, I'm just, like, still, like, just trying to figure out what just freaking happened.
Like you're still in shock, basically.
Yeah, and I'm confused, too, because I'm just like, how did I get to the bed when I was coming in, going to where the area of the attic van is, and the restroom is to the left of me? And all of a sudden, I'm just like, well, I don't even remember hitting the bed. All the last thing I remember is coming through. And the best way to describe this light, it was bright. I mean, it was brighter than anything that I've ever seen. This light, the best way to describe it, if you took a flashlight, okay, and you took it as close as your eyeball as you could, like, and just left it there, the closest I could describe how bright that would be, and it didn't even compare it. It's like at the hospital when they like look at you, you know, when they get that big bright light and stuff.
And they shine in your eyes.
Exactly. And it was brighter than all of that. Well, anyways, as time went by, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about this, like just trying to figure out what happened. Because I was dealing with ghosts also, y'all. I was dealing with paranormal stuff since I've been 6 years old. I've been dealing with all kinds of stuff. Even when I moved into my new roommate's house, I had a lot of things happen. So pretty much it went from like a ghost situation to that. And then back to the ghost situation. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, that just pretty much took my mind off all the ghosts. I was just like, wow, this is new. Anyway, so I got a chance to talk to my mom. We sat down one time and I said, Mom, I have a question to ask you. And I thought I was going to ask her because she was going to, you know, yell at me, bring up something, chew me out. But I said, just, you know, hear me out, let me speak. When that night that the doorbell was ringing, I just have one question to ask you. How long were you at that door? She said she went outside looking. She went looking around. She was outside. She was at least outside for 15 minutes. we still talk about this from time to time, but she doesn't really care to talk about it. But she told me what happened on her end, where she was laying down on that bed and she didn't want to get up, but she wanted to get up. And she said that it looked like a white sheet. I'm sitting there thinking that maybe this thing could have been so bright. Maybe she thought it was like a white sheet, but it wasn't like a white sheet. That thing could have been so bright that she was halfway awake in sleep. This was 1 or 2 in the morning, and usually, if you wake up, your eyes got to adjust and stuff. I can't explain how 2 people can have the same dream. And we talked about this, and I straight up told her, you opened the door, you saw the light, you heard the doorbell ring. How can 2 people possibly have the same
encounter,
dream?
basically, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't recall laying down. I really don't. Now, later on, my little brother, he was playing video games. He's in the front, he's playing. I got 2 little sisters laying down on the couch. He turned around, and this is the only thing, because I asked him if he's ever experienced anything, because I'll tell him what happened to me. And he said that he did experience something. He said when he turned around, this thing was small, because when I described mine to y'all, they pretty much were coming up to my chest. Well, they did come up to my chest. I'm about 5'7", so these things come up to my rib cage, so they're probably 3 foot, 4 foot. He told me that he said he saw a little thing in the house, and he said it just vanished and disappeared. He thinks that Bembrook was the perfect landing field. That's what my little brother said. Now, I have been outside before, and I did see one thing in the sky, and I never really thought about it to this day, because we were just kind of both hanging outside next to a little guy at night who doesn't. And I just saw this thing go into shape. It looked like it was going into shape the way the Earth goes, just perfect. And it had vanished, and it didn't look like a shooting star. So, it's very, very possible that what I experienced.
So, Mike,
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. These things that you saw, what makes you think that they are alien in nature or scripted, flesh and blood, as opposed to something that's interdimensional spirit type thing?
That is a very, very good question. I'm going to tell you this. I had a chance to talk to my sister one time. She thinks it was all in my subconscious, all right? Maybe she thinks I had a dream. Okay, so before I answer that, I just want to say one thing. I've heard of a situation called the Kentucky Goblins, okay? It was way back in the 50s. And I was talking to this one guy that's in the crypto squad. We were just kind of chatting privately. And I described how these creatures look. He thinks, quote unquote, that is very similar to the Kentucky Goblins. I disagree, because their ears are hanging up and the ears are hanging down. But this is really hard question to answer, because
you've had, like you said, spiritual encounters before, so I guess it just felt a bit different to you, or what?
Yes, very much, because I've actually seen a cloud of smoke in my back room in 1993, and that was very different from what I saw. I actually was awake, and I saw a cloud of smoke. It looked like you take a cigarette, okay, and you were to puff it and look at it. That's what I saw up in the air. And I've actually have seen, when I was laying down to go to bed, when I was living at a 4-bedroom place with my roommate, I had this little computer laptop, and I kept tapping the light, and I was looking at the door, and I was listening to the music, and I was using that as my night light. And every time I would tap it, I was hoping I'd be asleep. The 4th time, my eyes were getting a little heavier. I tapped it. I saw it looked like a person walking through the door looking at me. So I would definitely say, from what I've seen, that those are ghosts. This is a possibility that this could be maybe extraterrestrial.
I just find it funny that as soon as your mom opens the door, you immediately just blank out, and for 15 minutes, no one knows what's going on, and you just suddenly wake up in your bed with no recollection of being near your room at the time. So I mean, like that's the only thing. Like, if it was spiritual, I wouldn't really understand what was going on right there. Of like how the connection of her opening up the door and you immediately just blinking out.
Like I said, man, it's just really hard to tell what happened. And I if I had the chance, I've heard people can do hypnosis. I would love to try it just to see what happened in those 15 minutes. I don't know if that's like opening a doorway in case it was something spiritual or some kind of entity. I don't know if that would reopen another
Well, if
doorway.
it was like alien in nature, like just it just seems so weird that like you're seeing these things come at you and like are just coming towards the house, and your mom opens up the doorway and all of a sudden, like supposedly letting them in, and she goes outside to find them. So obviously she can't see anything. She doesn't see the creatures that you're seeing, and you just blank out for 15 minutes. Like it's a very, very weird like little situation right there, and it makes me wonder like what the heck they wanted from you, and how they managed to take you, in the physical realm and put you in like this. I don't know how to say, like, to make you take you out of that dimension, basically, and make you to where like your mom just walked right past you and she couldn't see you at all. And they basically like you were just a ghost or something. And that, she like you were on the same area, but on different planes.
When you were in this other area, Mike, were you able to see your house, like everything looked normal to you?
When I was stuck like in that little purple beam and I was looking around?
Yeah, you could see everything, like other than the purple beam, everything looked the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But your mom she couldn't see you.
No, she said, and she went through the hallway. She just like opened up the door and went outside.
I would guess, that you were in some sort of like out of body. That's why you were able to see these creatures.
That's very possible. In the past, I used to have a lot of OBE, outer body experiences, and I did have a connection with a spirit that was a man with no face. So that right there is a story for another time.
So let me ask you this: the man with no face, you had a connection with him?
It seems like it because every time I was at night, I kept having a lot of bad dreams. And the very first time I remember, I was waking up. Actually, I wasn't awake. Sorry. I thought I was awake, and I was walking down the hallway, and I seen this person in the hallway, and it was a man with no face.
So you would wake up, or what you thought was awake, but you were probably still sleeping, and you were out of body. When did this start? What age?
Like the whole year of 1993. It started when I was laying down in my bed, and I had this poster that was like hanging on my wall. And I was laying down in my bed, and I saw this. I don't know how to explain it. It looked like it was blue, but icy blue, and it was like slowly coming out of the wall. Then my poster fell, and I jumped up, and I guess I ripped it in half, and I turned on the light, and I'm like, could actually see what was going on while I was asleep. And I just bust out laughing, and I'm like, oh my God, what a dream. And all of a sudden, then I looked down at the poster. I'm like, oh, that sucks. And then as I looked at it, as I look at the part of the face, it's like this eye. I looked at the eye, and I just crawled up in fear. I'm like, whoa. And I just kind of crawled up in my bed, and I started looking around, and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. I didn't go back to sleep until daytime. So that's when I first started having the OBEs.
How old were you?
1993, so I'm 46 now. Let's do the math here.
19? 20? Maybe you're 20? What would be the significance of that in your life, that it would start then? Was it a house you were living in, or what was it, Mike? I mean, what do you think it was?
As time went by, I remember run into a friend of mine that went to Western Hills High School like me, because we both went there. I asked him, because I had a lot of stuff that I went through. And then one day we had talked, and, I was dealing with some kidney issues, and he was kind of an officer working over at a JPS hospital. And I went to him and asked him if he ever had any experiences, like seen anything like weird, at night. I was just kind of seeing. He said that his grandmother did. And then at night, like, she would see, like, people. And I saw an article later on as time went by, and it kind of, like, showed me a little bit of what happened. They said that there were a bunch of Indians and settlers in that area.
I don't understand what the tie-in, though, to these creatures would be, though. That's the only thing. Have you heard of, like, the machine elves?
No.
You don't know what that is? Well, people that take DMT, I don't know, Tony, if you know about this, but people who've taken DMT, they supposedly see these little, what they call machine elves. I know my brother has talked about it. He hasn't taken DMT, but he's always talking about that kind of stuff, that piercing the veil into the other dimension or whatever. And they claim that when it was several people that I've seen, like little clips of them talking about it. Two people I know who have actually taken it say that they've actually, that's happened, that they see these weird little entities, these weird creatures that they can only describe as like gremlins or machine elves. Machine elf, this is like just, I don't know why that term is what they call them as, but they're working behind the scenes and they're like bouncing around doing stuff. And they have little pointy ears. Now, you said that the ears were describe the ears again, Mike?
Well, they're droopy down. And
drooping down,
yeah,
right?
And they're kind of like dog ears.
The ears are going to hang down like a puppy.
Were they pointed or were they grounded like a...
They are rounded. They weren't pointed.
The only way I could describe that is like the small green, and you said that it was reptilian, like crocodile skin. The ears hung down with really big feet, like a reptile.
Yes, but they have that gremlin look too.
And they're small. And they're small, like small reptilians.
How big would you say though? Like 2 feet, 3 feet?
Yeah, how tall?
Like a small child.
Probably 3 to 4 feet, because I'm like 5'7" where my rib cage is.
So they're not like little Dewindy size. They're like
small child.
Like maybe little people.
Yes.
So
the eyes were solid.
Were solid black. Yeah. Did they give off like a malevolence? Did they say anything to you? Was there any kind of like, what was your interaction with them? I mean,
when I was stuck in this purple ray, as I was moving around, it's almost like when this little square went up in this rectangle, as I saw everything, all I can tell you is when they came out fast. It's like they just shot out.
Shot out like how did they come out of like a black void? Did they come out of the what how did they shot out of what?
Where the light post was, because I could see outside. They just like, and that right there, they just like, it's almost like when you watch Back to the Future, the DeLorean just comes out of nowhere.
They just instantly materialized, like boom, 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 boom. They were just materialized
that fast.
Okay, yeah, and they didn't just like go from their feet up to their head. They were just boom there.
They were there, and when they were walking, I saw one in the middle, and he just went over one, and they just kept going. And
you and the instinct, your instincts tell you that they were alien, or what does it say to you? Like, what does your gut tell you? Like, if you had to say, well, just giving it like what these are, like, what would you think they were? Well, since I've never encountered these things or dealt with them again, knock on wood. Anyways, I think that with the bright light and the purple ray and them coming out that fast, I'm definitely saying that they are definitely not from here. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't see those walking down the street, Mike. But I mean, I guess some people might. I mean, I remember a story kind of similar to that. Like, I have a story kind of similar to that. I don't know if it's not exactly that same way, but someone that used to live like was my neighbor when I was a teenager. And funny that you're talking about 1993. I thought that was weird. 1993, this might have actually been in 1992 or 93, Mike, when I'm going to tell you this. This is weird. Now, folks, Mike, this is me kind of interviewing Mike. We have not told this story. Like, Mike has not shared this story with me up until tonight. You actually have shared it with my wife, I believe, right?
Yes.
She told me that you weren't ready to talk about it yet. When you were, then you would talk to me about it. And so tonight's the night you're telling me about it. So I'm getting it fresh here. But that's why all the questions, like I'm interrogating you and repeating and all that, Mike. I'm not. I'm just trying to get all the details for everyone and listening at home or in your car or at work or wherever you're at or at the disco. So anyways, this story I got was a neighbor friend of mine that lived in my apartment complex when I was a teenager. When I first moved to Austin, it was 91, I think, or something like that. And I think this was in 92, I want to say. And my friend, I don't want to say his name because, anyway, I don't know if he wants me to tell this story, because he's got a business and everything. But he was asleep in his bed, and he was telling me that a blue light, now they've heard this before, like different colored lights, like blue. I've heard purple, yellow, different, because I have some of these stories, but nothing that looks like this other than this I can think of. He told me that there was a blue light that came into his room. He said that he thought it was a dream, but these three tall entities appeared in his room through the blue light. Like they just materialized in the room. They were extremely tall, and the way he described them was just the quintessential grays. The black eyes, that these were really, really tall. They were almost touching the ceiling. And he said that around these three gray aliens that popped into his room, and he thought he was dreaming at the time, but then he was like, whoa, it was like it was real. Like, like he, I guess, convinced himself that it was a dream, whatever. But it was, to me, he was out of his body and he was seeing it. That's what I think. But that these three grays popped into his room, and then there were these little, like, greenish brown gremlin type entities. There were about 4 of them, and they were kind of walking around the grays, and they were doing stuff, like they were handing them things and whatever, and that they were moving stuff around in his room, and that they were touching things and grabbing things. What's interesting to me is that around that same time, I had a dream, but I am really, really convinced that it was just a dream. Like, I really think it was a dream. I've had out-of-body experience. It didn't feel like that. It didn't seem like that. It seemed very dreamlike to me, and not even really lucid dream, but just like a dream, like you dream about it. And I was in my room, and the same thing happened. There was like a blue light, and these gray type beings came into my room and did the same thing, started moving stuff around. But it seemed like it was very, for my friend that it happened to, that I went to high school with at that time, it seemed like it was more real. Like he was experiencing it. Like he sat up in bed in what he later convinced himself was a dream, but at the time when it really happened, it was like it was really happening. Whereas for me, it was like a dream. Like I think it was a dream. Like I remember it completely as a dream. It wasn't like I was convincing myself that it was a dream. But they did something different, and I don't remember. I remember these tall, thin, gray beings, but I don't remember these little green, brown, mud-looking creatures that he was describing them. He said their skin looked like mud mixed with like moss. And I wish that I would have gotten a better detail to tell you, because I don't know whether they looked reptilian or not. He just said that they looked like little chubby gremlins, and that's the only way he could. That's the only way he described it to me and our other friend at that time. And I had a dream that was prior to that. Like the dream I had was prior to that. I mean, I'm talking like a few days maybe. And my friend that was there with us, we always hung out in high school with, he was just thinking we were crazy. He's like, y'all are crazy. So like I don't really say that I have had encounters with anything unless I know 100%. Like I can say I really was completely aware that, you know, this was, like I said, just a dream, folks. But it is a weird coincidence that this friend of mine from high school had the same kind of experience, only his was more realistic. And I think that he was in his bed when this happened. I'm still remembering the layout of the apartments, the way, you know, there would have been a window right there to the left of his bed where he claims that they came in. And his dad always worked nights, and so he was always there by himself in this 2-bedroom apartment. And I remember always being able to go over there anytime and play Super Nintendo. That's how far back this was, folks. We're old. So I remember being able to go over there and play Street Fighter and whatever until 1, 2 in the morning until I got tired, and then I'd go home. And sometimes I'd even fall asleep over there, and his dad would come home and be like, "Boy, what are you doing over here?" And he's a pretty good guy, but he didn't care. He's a single parent. He was real cool. And my mom was okay with it as long as I was over there at their house. She trusted them. They were cool. So, yeah, it was always like, you know, us just kind of hanging out. And sometimes I'd get up and go walk across the parking lot and go to my apartment and get ready for school. And then we'd go to school together. But he's a really good friend of mine. And like I'd fall asleep in the living room playing Nintendo or whatever.
While he's over there being
abducted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't there that night that happened. And I've recently tried to get a hold of that guy, you know, because I got another story that's very similar with the blue light that went into someone's vehicle, but I'm going to get into that maybe in another time. But my friend, when I was a teenager, I reached out to him because I tried to look for threads and he hasn't gotten back with me. But I haven't talked to him since I was in my 20s, and he's kind of, you know, he got married and had kids and stuff, and I don't know what he's doing now. But that story he told me, you know, where this like blue light came through the window, it wasn't purple. It was like a light blue light. And what's funny though is the light that I remember was almost like a aqua color, whereas the light that he remembers was like a darker blue. I don't know. We kind of compared notes on that, and the little creatures he was talking about, I wish so much that I could have got a better description of them from him. But that's very interesting, Mike. I am going to have to do more research and try to find out more about these little machine elves and figure out what the descriptions are, because all I have are like the 2 people that had told me about it. They were literally telling me about these when I was in a bar drinking, and I had nothing to write it down, and I couldn't commit it to memory when you're slamming Guinness and Tawaka. So, but I was completely sober in the lunchroom at school, where I went to high school with this guy when he told me this story. And for whatever reason, I never really asked him about it again. I didn't revisit it, and I never really. It's weird. It was like usually with anything weird and unusual like that, I would always go back and I would revisit it and ask again. Here's what's weird, folks. I'm going to tell you right now, with this whole alien phenomenon, with the reptilian thing, it's almost like there's something that tries to tell me to leave it alone, not to talk about it. It's like something in you telling you don't question it. It's like we're not supposed to be asking questions about it. And there's been witnesses that I've talked to about the reptilian thing and about aliens and UFOs and stuff, and it always seems like there's something there trying to keep me from asking questions. I'm not saying that there's like the men in black are showing up and that I need to go and write a book about it, you know, whatever. What I'm talking about is there's something there, or that I'm not writing a book about it, trying to stop me. What I'm saying is like there's something there when I try to get these stories that seems like it's trying to make me not do it and just be lethargic about it and not follow up on it. And I seem to have a harder time being as tenacious about it as I am with the whole ghost, dogman, Bigfoot type phenomena. And it's just as important to me to get these stories, but I feel like there's some sort of block there, which is weird. And I was talking to a very famous, prominent author not too long ago, and they were telling me and Tony that they don't pursue the reptilian thing.
Yeah.
And they were like very adamant that they didn't want to talk.
Stay away from it.
They stay away from it. They don't want to talk about it, and because it scares them, and there's something they think that there's a lot to it. And yeah, but these little creatures you're talking about, when you describe them as being reptilian, I think there's something to that. My friend said that what happened to him, he talked about it like it was real. Well, he kind of got made fun of by our friend that was at lunch with us. And then later on, that friend went and told another friend. They kind of teased him in the library about it. And I think he just kind of made himself think it was a dream. And for whatever reason, I didn't bother to like stand up for him, which I usually would have. And I didn't bother to tell any of them, well, I had a weird dream like that, you know. I didn't really try to get into it, you know. I just felt like there was something making me not say anything, just leaving it alone. I mean, I told him about my dream, whatever, but I didn't like try to go and defend him further, you know. I didn't. And I regret that. I regret that I didn't get more of a description on it too. Plus I was young, you know. But anyways, that's that. Can't really make heads or tails of like what the agenda was there, what they were doing there. I mean,
they were probably just trying to catch his new comics. You know, where they're from, they don't have the latest Mad Max or whatever comics that were back in the olden times.
Mad Max?
I don't know. I don't know what you guys.
The olden times. What is
guys
this?
Are reading.
Now we're being attacked by millennials. Y'all are worse than the Gremlins. Mike, are you hearing this guy? What is this? What is Mad Max? That's like a movie, dude. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you guys are olden stuff. What do you?
No, we played with those little cups with the stick, and we tried to make the ball with the string.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was from the Incan days, dude. That's what we played with, and then we had the stick. We rolled with the loop.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. With the stick, we rolled it with the stick. That's until it fell down. Right, Mike?
That's right.
Then I sat on my little wooden hobby horse and was like, ee, back and forth all day. Never got bored of it because it was the most exciting thing next to being in a covered Conestoga wagon.
Hey, you're telling me this is just history.
Because when I was a boy, there was nothing but Indians in this country. I was a pioneer. I was a settler.
I didn't even know that, so I appreciate you letting me know about that.
Give me a break, dude. Mad Magazine, is that what you're talking about? Mad Magazine? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, I've been triggered, folks, because this kid just seriously just got under my skin. Y'all were looking at Mad Max or whatever, how you goofy talk, whatever. Look, man, we had all the cool stuff. We had Spider-Man, we had Iron Man, Thor, Star Wars. We had the cooler stuff, actually. Mike, in fact, let's take a really quick stroll down memory lane. In the 80s, we had G.I. Joe. The best toys ever made to play with. They were awesome, fully posable. You could have all kinds of wars and stuff with them. You had Transformers, and you had He-Man. You didn't even need anything else, but then you also had Thundercats. I mean, we had everything, dude. It was the best time to be a kid. Then, as time went on, the toys got dumber. I think Ninja Turtles was the last cool toy, and after that, there was nothing. It was just a bunch of garbage, and then just all video games. Everything was that was it. That's all it was. And then it became running around just shooting and throwing grenades like I saw Zane doing for 2 hours like a zombie in front of the TV the other day. And then starting it over, doing it again, starting it over, doing it again with the attention span of a gnat.
Okay. That's not what cool.
So that's, whatever. And so we had the cool stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. We had Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat, the real stuff, man. It was good stuff. PlayStation 1. I remember PlayStation 1. I still got a PlayStation 1 with the little flip screen on it. One of them. That was high tech. Anyways, yeah, this kid doesn't know what he's talking about. He's out here making fun of us like we're old. Mad Max. I don't even know what the heck that is. There even a Mad Max comic? I don't even think there is.
I don't know.
If it's done, it's probably done by Dark Horse.
Dark Horse would be the one to do it. They're the ones that did Terminator versus Aliens versus Predator. Wasn't
Archie
it?
versus Predator. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did Archie. Yeah, but they did Terminator versus Predator, and then they did Judge Dredd versus Predator, and then Alien. They did all these other ones. Yeah, my buddies used to collect all those Dark Horse, and then Dark Horse when they had Star Wars was really really cool too. I mean, we could nerd out if you want to. I mean, I'm not big on fiction books like all those Grey Thorn, Hawkman, whatever the heck those books with the fantasy, all that. I'm not into all the science fiction. But I'm into some pretty cool, like I'm into the Marvel, DC, Transformers, that kind of stuff. That's cool. I'm into the graphic novels.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Lord Baltimore.
I mean, I will joke around, but I really am envious of the toys that you guys had back in the day because the stuff that I had growing up was just crap, absolute crap. I mean, it's something that you can play with for about 5-6 minutes and get bored of because it's the same thing over and over again.
Well, your little sister, when she was growing up, she was kind of a tomboy, and she always asked for action figures every Christmas and birthday, and that's what I got her.
Yeah.
And she had a pretty cool collection of the fully posable Star Wars figures. Now, when we were kids, we had those little Kenner Star Wars figures, and they were stiff. The arms and legs were stiff. And it's like, you couldn't do anything like make them pose like the cool poses and stuff, like the movie. They were just like sticking their arms stuck straight out, and that was pretty much it. You remember that, Michael?
Yeah, I have a Jawa figure to this day, so all he could really do is just stand there.
Yeah, little guy. He was a little bitty guy with a robe.
Yep.
And Vader's lightsaber was like a little lever that you pushed in the side of his arm, and the little tube would come out. That was his lightsaber. And then their capes were like more like 1980s vests that they wore. It was so silly the way that they looked. Him and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, but it's cool because I think having toys like that stimulates your imagination a lot more. Like I feel like that's something that my little sister was able to do. It was like I remember her just spending hours just playing with those toys instead of compared to me just being glued in front of a TV and not being able to really think outside the box.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because but it was fortunate that she was able to. Unfortunate for you, but unfortunate for her that she was able to have that, because the G.I. Joes had made a resurgence, and they were re-releasing them, all of them. Like remember the Dreadnoughts? I don't know if you remember those. Those all Australian biker dudes or whatever. They had those. They had the twins, like all those different, the Cobra Commander and Serpentor and all those guys. They had all those guys. Destro. They had. Cool. I got her Destro and all of them. They had all the different Joes. Bazooka and all the Flint. Lady J. I mean, it was cool. We had the cool stuff. But anyways, enough of that. We're talking about these machine elves and creatures and whatever it is that you encountered. I don't know what those are. I'm not even going to say, but it was striking. The story you told, very similar to what my buddy in high school claimed to have seen.
Either way, if it's spiritual or UFO, it's such a weird story. The fact that, if it was
well, it's not UFO because it's not an unidentified flying object.
Well, I mean, like alien in nature. Yeah. And if it was alien in nature, I want to know how they were able to, take you away from that physical realm to where your mom just didn't see you anymore. Like what this beam did to be able to make you to take you out of that dimension or whatever. And if it is spiritual, then I wonder, like you said, you don't remember ever going to bed. So even before, all this happened, you were thinking that you were awake. So where and how you went, like how you ended up in your bed is so weird to me because, it's just a creepy thing to think about.
No, I just wanted to say something real quick to you. I didn't really tell too many people back in the day, and I did tell my roommate Aaron about that. And he believed 100% that was aliens. So that's kind of what got me thinking could possibly be aliens. But I never knew how to explain it. And to this day,
one of the things, Mike, that's telling to me is when I awoke from my dream, things were, I don't remember anything specific, but I remember things being kind of moved around in my room. And I woke up and I went to the bathroom and I remembered my dream as I was taking a shower. And then I started looking around my room and I had like a few hats that I had bought, and they were moved around. It looked like things had been moved around to me. And it happened to my friend too. Like he said the same thing, like things were moved around. And it's, we're talking about action figures and Transformers. At that time, I had a box of Transformers and G.I. Joes that I lugged around with me everywhere I lived for 20 years. And I think that the last time I saw them, my mom sold them, I think. I told her she could keep them, sell them, whatever. I think it was like 2009 or something. Like last time I saw this big box of G.I. Joes, the rubber band thing in the middle always breaks on them after a while. It gets brittle. And temperature changes or whatever. But I remember that there was a box of toys that I had in the closet, and it looked like some of them were missing. Like, I remember in particular, my favorite figures of Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, those two G.I. Joes. I don't know if you remember those, Michael, but like those were two of my favorites. And I remember going through them one day and looking, and they were gone. I did have like a different version of Storm Shadow, the newer one, but I didn't have the old one that I'd always had, the white uniform. And I didn't have my original Snake Eyes. They were gone. And I always thought that maybe these things took them, you know? It's like, because it was back in the early 90s, and like the 80s had just happened. So, I mean, it was only a few years before that I had collected those. And I'd kind of grown out of them, of course. By that point, I wasn't playing with toys, but I had them in a box right there, either in the closet or by the closet. And I don't know, years later when I was looking through them with somebody, and somebody that I was going out with at the time, and I was going to show her these figures or whatever. Well, she had asked, and they were gone. I don't know what happened to them. It's funny, we started talking about the 80s and all that. So
80s rule.
the 80s were cool, man. I mean, we could do a show just about the 80s, but this is a paranormal show, so it wouldn't really be, people would probably not be wanting to tune in. Our kind of audience would not be tuning in to let us talk about Soundwave and Optimus Prime. But yeah, folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. We're going to wrap this one up. Mike, I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. It was compelling.
Thank you for letting me say it.
I mean, food for thought, dude. Like, what was that? That's crazy. It's always good to hear eyewitness people that are willing to come on and talk about their stuff. You know, a lot of people aren't. And a lot of people have a hard time with it. I know that you had waited a while because you had told Nellie, and I asked her, and she said, no, I can't tell you because Michael told me not to say anything, and she's like that. And so I was like, okay. And so I said something really rude and just walked out. No, I'm just kidding. I did not. I told her I respect that, and I said eventually maybe Michael will be willing to come on and talk about it, and here you are. And it is a trippy story, and I believe you. I don't think you're making it up. And I appreciate, and Mushu, I'm sure appreciates you coming on.
Oh yeah, I do. And if you did make it up, then you're probably one of the most creative guys I've ever seen, because that's a crazy story, and I appreciate you coming on and telling us about it and having a discussion with us.
You know, that's another thing too. People are always like, this is all bull crap every time somebody tells a story that happened to them, you know. And I'm thinking, how many people out there are able to just like their imaginations are just that great that they can tell us all these stories. I mean, I get stories constantly. I mean, constantly. When I talk about a subject on the show, I get 3 or 4 stories out of it. No bull. I mean, Tony can attest to that. And it's like, you know, are all these people creative writers? Are they all imagining these things? Because if so, then we have a lot of people with great, I mean,
talent.
You need to be out there writing books or some kind of fiction or something. You know, I'm not a big fiction person. I don't like fiction, but a lot of people do. So, you know, if y'all are out there making all these stories up, then y'all need to be out there selling books and writing some stuff about this different stuff. But anyways, that's all the time we have for tonight. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. So hopefully the little gremlins and machine elves are not trying to get you. And everybody out there, stay safe.